gentlemen, this contest set for one fall is for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle, Wrestling Hot Topics. I am Big Al. That is the Professor, as always. And we are here on a Tuesday. It's a beautiful day in June. And not a beautiful day for Vince McMahon. No. We'll get into that in a minute. We'll get into that later. Professor, how are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. A little tired, but that's just about every day anymore.
This past Sunday, I had a chance to talk to Dino Sana, and I'm glad you're feeling better. It was an interesting interview. We've gotten a lot of feedback from that, a lot of comments, a lot of shares, a lot of anticipation for the rebuttal to that. So this Sunday, I want to remind everybody that this Sunday we will have Demetrius Arion, the principal owner of 3WA, the current principal owner of 3WA. And he will be on our Around the Turnbuckle slot at 6 o'clock on this channel. And he will get his chance to retort whatever Mr. Sana had to say.
It's only fair.
And that's what we're all about here, aren't we?
Yeah, I just hope this situation gets resolved. I mean, these are two people I like. I've worked for both of them. Obviously, we're working currently for one of them. I have all the respect in the world for Dino and what Dino has done and has meant to Pennsylvania independent wrestling. Demetrius Arion's been a big part of that too. It's a shame to see that there's disagreement right now and there's hurt feelings. And, I know both of those two have been good friends for a long time. And if nothing else, I would like to see that. I would hope that friendship can be repaired. And I would hope that at the end of the day, whatever happens, if we can be a small part of that, then we've done some good in the world, because I certainly don't want us to go down as people that are seen as, picking at a scab or looking at a wound and saying like, oh, cool, can we stick a scalpel in there and make it worse? Because seriously, I'm not about that. I don't want this show to be about that. I don't want the perception of this show to be about that. But, we let Dino on. Dino wanted to say his piece. It's only fair to let Demetrius Arion come on and speak as well, because we don't want those two to be hurt. We don't want the 3WA to be hurt. I don't want any company to be hurt. Everybody's out there. If you're in independent wrestling, even if you're an independent wrestling owner around here, you're not getting rich. You're probably breaking even on your shows. Sometimes breaking even on your shows is the best goal you can have. So, I mean, it's not like we're talking about millionaires or anything like that. And we're talking about relationships. We're talking about real people and stuff like that. So I really hope that at the end of the day, this all gets resolved and everybody gets back to a happy place.
Me too. And I apologize, guys, for my eyes. I am battling pink eye. And I did not get it from my kids. I think I got it from fishing, believe it or not. I think I was handling a fish, put him down and put him in water. And then it was a bad windy, like a breezy day, and I got pollen in my eyes, so I'm rubbing my eyes with dirty fish hands, and that'll help. Little bacteria from the creek or whatever, it's me being dumb. All right, I was gonna start things off with Vince, but real quick, just your quick reaction on the WWE King and Queen of the Ring. You know now the results. You know that Gunther was the King of the Ring. You know that Nia Jax was the Queen of the Ring, and you know that Cody successfully defended against Logan Paul. What were your thoughts of that show as a whole?
I mean, I thought it was another good show. Gunther obviously should be the king of the ring. He should get that push. I don't love that it's for a title shot because I don't feel like Gunther should take it off of Cody. I also feel like you're going to have to be careful about how you do this. I think Gunther and Cody obviously are going to have a great match. I trust the booking enough that they can beat Gunther without, doing anything to him. I mean, you've certainly got options there. He can beat the hell out of Cody and it can turn into a disqualification when he doesn't listen to the referee or something like that, or there's a count out, some kind of finish other than Cody beating him 1, 2, 3. I mean, I suppose you could do that too. I certainly understand the thought process that would be like, we don't want to do a lot of fuck finishes when it's a PLE, even though, you're not paying $50 anymore and you're paying for Peacock itself and you're just getting WWE as part of that. So you could make the argument of like, we can do more things like that because you're still getting enough value for what you're paying monthly that you really can't complain if you get a fuck finish in a title match. But there's ways they can go. I'm just not in love with getting him into a match that you're going to most likely beat him in unless they're going to shock us, which I guess they could do that too. Shock us and have Gunther take the title, and then it would be a story of him and Cody maybe going to SummerSlam. But I just feel like SummerSlam, they're going to want The Rock, or if Roman is back from his sabbatical, they're going to want Roman involved. I don't know. But they've got a lot. That's the nice thing about WWE right now, right? Is they have a lot of options. It's not a situation where, so far under the prior regime, it would be like, no, we've got to go from A to B. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do. We've created no other options for ourselves, no other ability to create a money drawing situation. Whereas now it's nice because there are a lot of different ways and a lot of different angles and stories where you could say you could go A to B, or you could go A to C, or maybe you could do an A to D out in left field and people would still buy it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the show too. I mean,
I just want to say I didn't really understand putting it on Nia. I know she's come back and she's been doing better work and stuff, but that one almost feels to me like maybe this is a case of who her family is and what their role in the company is at this point. I've always felt like
there's a lot of injuries in the women. There's a lot of injuries in the women.
There is that too, and I understand.
So who? Right. So I mean, so who? If not Nia, who?
Well, what I was thinking you could have done is you've got the belt on Liv, which is good. You need that. You need to keep that there. I'm trying to think because my brain is so fried. Who was even the other possible options? It was like Bianca was
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie.
What?
Or,
yeah.
I mean, I guess out of your options, Nia's a good option.
Yeah, I mean, that was the problem. You're going to do it to Jade Cargill? You're going to do it, Jade Cargill, Bianca?
I wouldn't have done Jade. Yeah.
Everybody's injured. I mean, that's part of it.
That really is a problem. They're so bit by the injury bug right now.
And with Nia, I mean, Nia's always a contender for the championship. You can throw her in a championship match and nobody's going to bat an eye because she's Nia Jax. But, so, I mean, I didn't mind that so much. I'll tell you this, the more I see Jade and Bianca as a team together, the more I want to see.
Yeah. That's why I say it's too early. It's too early to strap the rocket to Jade. Jade's still doing on the job training. Yep. I think we're going to be talking about Royal Rumble maybe before I would really start thinking about splitting her and Bianca and maybe seeing. I could see by then Jade might have picked up enough that I could be happy with her and not worried about putting her as a single and jeopardizing, a future star, because she is a future star. They have a big investment in her.
Why wasn't Braun Breaker in that tournament?
Because I think with Braun Breaker, you would have been booking yourself into a corner, right? Because it's basically two bad options. Do I want to beat him in that tournament somehow so he doesn't win and get the title shot? No, not really. Do I want him to win and then potentially get beat, and then he's going to get beat by Cody? Because I don't want him beating Cody yet. I don't think he's there yet. No, I don't really need that. I'm trying to build this kid because he has it. Everybody is behind this kid. Everybody is unanimous that this kid is a future star.
Yeah.
So
sure.
why would I put myself into a position where I'm lose on him and potentially taking shine off of it?
So overall, it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens from here. It's the next event. The next PLE for WWE is Clash at the Castle in Scotland. So we'll see what happens there. You wanted to talk about some AEW departures.
Yes,
there were 4 of them.
We had 4 departures from AEW. We had Mark Henry go. We had Arn Anderson go. Jake Hager's gone. And I'm trying to remember who the 4th one was. It was all people that haven't really been used in a while, and nobody that I would consider shocking.
Right.
I mean, it looked to me like basically probably deals expiring and both sides saying like, it's not worth it to us to continue onwards. Which
Prince Piranha's here. He says, "Sup guys? Did you guys see that mud show where they were working an unconscious man?" Yes, I saw that viral video. Did you see that, Keith?
I did not.
Oh my. Okay, so listen to this. So there's an indie show, right? You could tell right away it was kind of unprofessional looking. The look of it, but before anything happens, right? So one of the wrestlers delivered.
Real quick, I got the 4th name. It was Paige Van Zandt.
Okay, Paige Van Zandt.
Yeah,
we're gonna go back to the AEW departures, but one of the wrestlers in this viral video does a running kind of shining wizard kick to the face to the other wrestlers. It's a tag match. That wrestler goes down in a heap. He's clearly out. The wrestlers. Then the other team continues to work on him. He's clearly unconscious. Referee checks on him for a second, but then goes back to doing something else. And he is, in the video, you can see he is clearly not there. Like they're pounding on him. They're rolling him out. They're rolling him to the other side of the ring. He's just not responsive. They even delivered, I believe, and Piranha can correct me if I'm wrong, they even did a 2 count where they pulled up because he didn't kick out. So, I mean, what's the red flag there? I mean, what else do you need to know? Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
that
show should have been shut down.
Yeah.
You could have hurt that guy, seriously. What the fuck? That's 101. Somebody's unconscious. Stop the fucking match.
Yeah.
I don't care. Stop the fucking match. That's obvious.
Yeah. I wish we had that video. I wonder if I can bring that up. Hold on, keep talking. They pulled up so that they can get their stuff in. See?
I mean, I'm speechless at how irresponsible that is. Every single person involved should be fucking ashamed of themselves. The promoter should lose his license if it's a commission state or anything like that. Everybody involved should lose their licenses immediately. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for that. None.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree.
I mean, I'm big on safety to a point that sometimes I'm sure I'm a wet blanket to some of the guys that I talk to, but at the same time, do you and do what you feel comfortable with, and all of that stuff. I respect the hell out of everybody. I mean, I wouldn't take half the crap you guys take. I just wouldn't. Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, you can punch. We can do a working punch, and I'll go down. We'll just call it right there. But I mean, that something like that is just how do you, as a human being with a conscience, not immediately say to yourself when that happens, like, okay, we're done. Like that there's 4 other people in that ring other than this poor guy, and not a damn one of them looks at the others and goes, yeah, we're done here. Or, roll him out, fake tag him, put him on the side of the ring, turn it into a handicap match. I don't give a shit. Like,
yeah, I can't find it. I was gonna bring it up and show it to you.
Yeah.
I wish I could see. He said, "I wish I could tell who they were, so I could avoid them." Yeah,
because I mean, my God, who's going to want to work with these people ever again? Nobody should. If that's your level of, give a shit about your fellow human being. Like, oh no, sorry, bro, I got to get my stuff in. We got to finish. We had a plan. Fuck your plan. Plan's done.
It was fucked up. It was fucked up. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where. I looked it up on YouTube just now. It's hard to find, but it's a viral video flying around. Maybe Piranha has a link to it or something. But anyway, the AEW departures.
It'll come back again. But here's the last word on that.
What fucking stupid?
Yeah. So the AEW department. Mark Henry. What the hell was Mark Henry doing? What was Arn Anderson doing other than being a mind in the back that you can pick?
I mean, Arn Anderson, as far as I know, hasn't really done much of anything since Cody left. Mark Henry, I think, was brought in as a commentator for a minute, and then was some kind of ambassador. I mean, it just feels like, to me, one of those cases of nobody involved here was really doing anything. Nobody involved here was contributing to the product. It's probably best on all sides. Mark Henry, I know, is doing podcasts and interviews, and I'm sure he can go do whatever the hell he wants to do. He's a talented guy. He'll go wherever. He'll be fine. Arn Anderson's had his podcast for a while. He can, maybe get back into WWE. I think he has a good relationship with Triple H and them if he wants to go back and be a producer. I'm sure he'll continue to work with his son and push for his son to do this. And, I mean, Jake Hager, again, I think he had run his course there. I don't know what is really out there for him.
I really don't think WWE would be interested in him.
Maybe try MMA again, or you can get him down to NXT as a good hand or something like that. And I mean, as far as Paige Van Zandt, I think it was stunt casting to bring her in to begin with. So nothing really is lost by either side, I feel like, for that.
You also mentioned that Lou D'Angelo left TNA.
Yeah, Lou D'Angelo's left TNA, the vice president of their live events. They had literally their biggest gates in history with him, and I hear it just comes down to both sides basically got to a place where they said, that's it. We don't need to work together anymore. Lou will be fine. Obviously, Lou has been doing that job for many different places. He was high up in Cirque du Soleil before he left that. He worked for WWE in that regard, and obviously was a big cog in TNA, but the old order changeth. There's certainly a lot of changes going on in TNA now in the wake of Scott D'Amore leaving. I know there's been more people leaving in different departments. The creative team has been shaken up a little bit, and TNA's in a bit of flux right now, but I mean, it's like I always say, Anthem's going to do what Anthem's going to do, and I wouldn't ever raise the alarm bells unless you start hearing something about Anthem not doing well or Anthem maybe fielding offers or anything like that.
I mean, they have a loose affiliation with WWE, don't they? Because like their women's champion
now.
Their women's champion coming over and showing up on NXT to challenge Perez for the title.
Yeah.
Jordan Chase.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's, a harbinger of something, if that's a one-off deal. I really haven't heard anything on that. But certainly it's good for TNA, and I mean, I think it's good for WWE too. I think WWE would be behooved to take a more of a look at it, like, if not quite like an MLB or something like that, maybe like an NFL or someone like that, where it's like we're willing to talk to and recruit from other promotions and maybe have some kind of relationship with promotions where it's like similar to what they did with ECW back in the day, where it's like we will maybe put you on some kind of retainer or have some kind of arrangement with the idea of when you have a talent that's ready to move on, or if there's somebody that we're very interested in, we get right of first refusal, help them, steer them in our direction if they're interested, because you're going to have to get the talent from somewhere. And realistically, we know that the indies are hit or miss, and a lot of times even the best guys from the best indies still have to kind of have bad habits broken. They have to learn different things to work within WWE. So, I mean, this could be a good way, too, of having a situation where you can sort of start developing a talent before they come into an NXT or to a Raw or a SmackDown, to where you can be like, they're already breaking those bad habits and starting to learn things on a television product that WWE would want them to know and be able to do.
Jordan Grace and Sexy Red going to NXT may be interested. Yeah.
And there's that too. You're going
Jordan
to get
Grace is something else.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of her. Jordan Grace is something else. I remember when her and her husband John Gresham used to go to the barn and practice with us. There you go.
Yeah.
Cool stuff, man. Good stuff. Thanks, Piranha.
Yeah, a lot of great talent.
This past Saturday, Becky Lynch's contract expired.
Yeah.
Rumors are abound as to what happens to Becky.
Yeah.
Here's what I know. Either way, she's taken an extended leave of absence from the business.
Yeah.
Because she was supposed to do that after Mania, and Rhea got hurt, and they called her up and said, "Can you do us a favor?" She came back. She gets the championship, drops it to Liv Morgan,
mm-hmm.
and now she gets to have her time with her husband as he recuperates, gets to have more time with the daughter. So there's questions. Questions like, will she retire?
No.
Questions like, will she come back to WWE? Questions like, will she go elsewhere?
So what I'm hearing from reliable sources is the expectation on all sides is she's going to re-sign with WWE. She is taking a break. They'll work it out. I assume she's going to get a very well-deserved raise.
Probably.
She may wind up on one of those more part-time schedules. If somebody else wants to make her an offer, I'd listen to it if I was her, because I think you're foolish not to at least listen. But I can't see where anybody else is going to offer her what WWE is going to offer her. Her husband is there. She is one of the tippity top performers in that company. She's going to make a boatload of money. She's going to be featured in things. She's going to have other opportunities. To me, if you're going to go somewhere else, it's like dump truck of money, and I don't care how you're going to use me, because I just don't think anybody else is going to use her anywhere near as well as WWE. And for all the people that are obsessing about, like, she's going to AEW or she can go to AEW, once again, I have a message for you.
What, are you fucking stupid?
Because again, it's just, why would you want to go anywhere else? Why? So that's how important that is that it ran again. But, I mean, it just becomes, why do you need to go anywhere else? You can talk about schedules, but again, she is at the point in terms of her value and everything else, she's gonna be able to dictate schedule in her contract. This is not like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall in '95, where it's like you're the tippity top person, but you're still 300 odd days a year on the road, and you can go to WCW where it's going to be much less and the money's going to be more and it's going to be guaranteed. It's such a different world right now. I just don't see Becky Lynch going anywhere else. And like I say, the word I'm hearing is she's going to take the time off she was going to take off before, and they'll figure the contract out and she'll be back with a new contract.
I agree with you. It's just, you know how these things go. All these.
It's wish casting, and I get it.
Yes.
People want a story, and if you're running a wrestling site, you got to have content. You got to have clickbait. You got to get people clicking on something, especially if you're not a real reporter that has real sources that's going to be able to go out there and chase down a story yourself, which, look, is what most of the wrestling media is.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I agree with the professor. Becky Lynch will be back in WWE. How long? That's up to her.
Yeah, I think.
Knowing Triple H, she's
Royal
gonna.
Rumble
It's not a Vince. It's not a Vince situation. It's Triple H. Probably said, you know what? You guys deserve it. Take all the time you need. Call me when you're ready. Call me when you're ready to come back.
They've got other stars that'll help carry the load and whatnot. They'll start getting people back soon that are hurt.
Charlotte is close. Charlotte's close.
Punk should be back soonish. You'll be able to have that. And I think it goes to the idea too of, again, start building people up and getting it to where you can rotate a little bit, where you can afford for people to take time off and be slotted back in.
Mommy will be back too.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. All right. Well, I thought we'd end on the sour note, and that'd be, what's the latest on Vince McMahon, Professor?
So, the federal government asked Janelle Grant to voluntarily pause her lawsuit, and she did that.
Okay.
That is not good news for Vince McMahon, because they would not be stepping in and doing that. In my opinion, allegedly, this is just my amateur knowledge of how these things tend to go and how these things have been explained to me when I read articles from people that do have law degrees and experience and things like that. So I'm going to preface all of this with, this is my opinion. I don't have any inside sources or anything like that. But if they're asking her to pause her lawsuit, you're usually doing that because you don't want somebody else's case to conflict with your case. So that tells me that they are probably about done investigating. They are getting ready to make charging decisions, decide if they need to take this to a grand jury or whoever, and they're probably going to be seeking an indictment soon. Probably. Because they wouldn't have asked her not to have her lawsuit out there and have that tried unless they were trying to push their case forward. And for Janelle Grant, that's an interesting situation for her because there's a risk reward here, obviously. The federal government doesn't want her lawsuit starting now because depending on what comes out, that can interfere with their case. And for her, there's a risk reward because obviously the risk is if they do seek an indictment and he's acquitted, that's going to hurt her case because that acquittal is going to hang large over that and it's going to hurt her. If he is convicted, that's great for her because then you can run that conviction up the flagpole and say, hey, that was beyond a reasonable doubt. I just need what's called preponderance of the evidence, which in layman's terms means something is more likely than not. A civil case has a less of a burden of proof than a criminal case does, but obviously, depending on how the criminal case goes, could be good or bad for her civil suit. But to me, if the government doesn't want the civil suit going forward, that tells me the government is getting ready and gearing up to probably they're definitely gearing up with charging decisions, and I would think that at that point they are deciding that they're going to seek charges. They're going to seek an indictment here, and that's not great news for Vince McMahon, obviously.
So what's the worst case scenario for him?
I mean, the worst case scenario is he's found guilty and they send him to jail. I don't know what.
For prison for the rest of his life?
I mean, it could potentially be. I don't know what the mandatory minimums or anything like that are on what he's been accused of. Actually, if you can filibuster for a second, I will try to find that real quick. And I probably won't, and like I say, we won't know until they roll out whatever they roll out. But I know he was being investigated for sex trafficking at the federal level. So I can at least try to get a mandatory minimum for that.
While the professor's doing that, guys, I want to remind you that if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, we are now exclusively on YouTube. We are no longer on Facebook. We are no longer live streaming on any of the Facebook channels. We will rebroadcast this, or we will share this out to all our Facebook page and our Facebook group, but we will not be broadcasting live on Facebook from here on out. Also remind you that this Sunday on Around the Turnbuckle, we have Demetrius Arion, the Greek god, the owner of 3WA, who will be on here to not only tell his story about his journey in the wrestling business, but also to respond to the interview this past Sunday on with Dino Sana. And if you haven't seen that, go on our YouTube channel right now. Check out the picture of Dino's right there, and it says Dino Sana No Holds Barred. Click that. Watch that interview. It was very, very intense and very, very intense. And I'll tell you this. We have a lot of response from that. A lot of comments, and a lot of people have asked me questions that I cannot divulge. There were moments before the show and after the show that Dino spoke to me, where they were asking questions that I'm not at liberty to answer. I'm going to reiterate what the professor said. I hope that this Sunday Demetrius Arion comes on and we can smash this right in the bud right here. I'll tell you this. Demetrius Arion was not upset with us for having him on and letting Dino say his piece. And he does appreciate what we do. He also appreciates us giving him his time on Sunday, and he's gonna take it. And he loves what we do at 3WA. He loves he does watch episodes of Carnage. He admits he doesn't watch too many episodes of Around the Turnbuckle, but he does watch a lot of episodes of Carnage, and he really likes what we bring to the table. Have you gotten that information yet on Vince, Professor?
Yeah, so he would be looking at 10 to life. And he's
there it is.
77, so even 10 at this point could be life. So certainly.
I just listened to the Piranhas. I just listened to your interview with Dino at work, and it was wild. Yeah.
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 It was certainly something.
It was certainly something, and so I can't wait for Demetrius Arion this coming Sunday live. It's gonna be intense, and the professor will be there with me. So yeah, 10 to life, Vince. 10 to life, yeah. Vince. You know what I'm saying? For a guy who, the thing about that is, I don't condone anything he's done if he's convicted, obviously. Just reading some of the stuff that allegedly happened, is deplorable and disgusting in my mind. But unlike some certain other people that I could care less for, whether it be politicians or other people, I just don't care for their opinions really. There was a time where Vince McMahon was wrestling to me. There was a time where Vince McMahon, before I knew who before I knew he was the puppet master with the strings, I thought of him as the announcer on Superstars of Wrestling or whatever. The guy that would say, "Hey, what a maneuver!" Blah 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 blah. Then once we found out the truth, you know, because you didn't have the internet back then, so you didn't have all these people telling you, "Hey, by the way, that guy's the owner of the company." Once we get to Montreal Screwjob, right? It's basically where the character Mr. McMahon started.
Oh, absolutely.
The Montreal Screwjob, in many ways, changed the business in different, but definitely changed Vince McMahon and the perception of Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
As that evil billionaire. What's that?
He really thought he was going to come out the baby face in that.
I'm sure he did.
Seriously, I've heard that.
Yeah, I know.
He thought he did that interview and everybody was going to agree with him and was going to go, poor little millionaire. And it's like,
yeah, Brett screwed Brett.
Everybody else was like, you're the boss, but this isn't going to go how you think it's going to go.
Oh no! And then you had the Stone Cold Steve Austin. So are we supposed to erase that from our memories? All the matches with Stone Cold Steve Austin, the segments with Stone Cold Steve Austin where he stunned him, the big thing with Mike Tyson where Vince is swinging at Austin. You ruined it, damn it! The publicity of all that stuff. The guy, is a polarizing figure.
Yeah,
and now forevermore from here on out, if he's indicted, he's going to be known as that disgusting, deplorable billionaire who took advantage of a lot of situations.
Well, he already is. I mean, this is not the first time that Vince has been accused of anything. And, when all this came out, all that got dredged back up again. Rita Chatterton got dredged back up again. There was stuff about that incident at the massage parlor in Florida, and they were saying there they felt like there was evidence that it was a credible accusation, but charges
legal paralegal
weren't followed up on. And that's Janelle Grant. That
right, that's Janelle Grant.
That was all.
Well, okay. So what about the stuff that Ashley said? The wrestler Ashley.
Right, there's that came out. I mean, the bottom line is indictment or no indictment. This is his legacy at this point. When you're accused of this, you're never going to wash that stain away. And I understand that it's complicated. He was a big part of my childhood too. And I think it just comes back to that. You have to realize the person you see on TV is not necessarily the person behind the scenes.
Yep.
We thankfully have been, for the most part, I can't say it's been perfect, but for the most part, we've had nothing but good experience with people. And there are people that, you see us fighting with or interacting with in a negative way on the shows. And that's just part of a show. When you get back behind it, it's a team effort.
Yeah, Piranha says sometimes you're guilty, and he has enough money to get the lawyers to prove him guilty or not.
And it depends on what they charge him with. It depends on how good their evidence is, and it depends on what the jury believes. At the end of the day, it's what 12 people believe happened. That is how our system works. I certainly expect in there with the best criminal defense attorneys that he can possibly get, that money can buy, and we will see what happens. But I mean, like I say, the cloud doesn't go away. When you're accused of something like this and you're accused multiple times, that cloud does not go away. That stain does not go away. Look at O.J. Simpson. He was found not guilty, but anybody who believes that verdict was wrong believed that right up until his death and beyond.
Vince is so bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, sir.
And even without this, I mean, there's tons of examples of him not being a nice guy. There's also tons of examples of, him being really...
The Deshaun Watson of wrestling.
Really great to people.
He is the
nobody is a
Deshaun
complete,
Watson of wrestling.
yeah, nobody is a complete monster, and nobody is a complete saint. We've all got stuff that we're not proud of. It's just, I would hope
Right.
most of us, when we talk about the things we're not proud of, it's not crime, it's not human trafficking, it's not doing something to utterly ruin the life of someone else.
Right, and being in a position that he's in, where he figured he's untouchable. He can do
Yeah.
whatever he wants,
Yeah, he was
and
insulated from
it's
all
a
consequences.
sickness that hopefully I would like to think that other people in his position are not exactly like that, but if you look at a lot of the people that are like that, there's some shady characters we're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
it's not a nice business. Wrestling is historically
and I'm
not
not
a
just
nice
talking
business.
wrestling. I'm talking business,
Yeah,
like billionaire.
and I mean, look, you have to have some sort of moral vacuum. You cannot be a good and moral person to be able to successfully run a business. You can't be necessarily a good and moral person to be able to get up there like politicians do and say, I can run the country, and I put yourself out there like that. There's something wrong with you. If you're really willing to get out there and say, like, I want to get into these positions of power. I don't think we're electing saints. I don't think saints are running the boards of corporations. But I also don't think you can reduce them down to just they're all monsters and they're all horrible people. Some of them are probably decent enough people. They're just able to make those decisions that maybe some of the rest of us would not be able to do because, it's hard. It's hard to be in a
Yeah,
position to tell people what to do. It's hard to deal with confrontation. It's hard to deal with these things. It takes courage.
I got to
And
say this though,
that,
WWE really has not suffered from all this. They have distanced themselves from him, and
and that's
they
what I
are
and
hot.
that's what
They
I
are
would
hotter now than they've been in a long time.
and that's what I would continue to do if I was them. If the government comes to them and asks for anything, you turn everything the fuck over and you do everything you can to just be like, that is not the regime that's here now. Those people are purged. Anything you want, we will give it to you. Same with the Janelle Grant lawsuit. Everything should be about trying to say that we are not that same company. We were not involved in this. It's a new day, and we will give you
Yeah.
whatever evidence we have, and then we want to be, just left out of it and to move on with our lives.
WWE is so much better with Triple H in charge. He has the finger on the pulse of what his fans want, and was open to crossovers with TNA, where Vince was vehemently against it.
Yeah, and I mean it's a difference of outlook. It's, I think, a difference of experience, and eventually we all get old and we all lose touch with things. I don't know what my kids are fucking talking about half the time. I accept it. I'm 41. I'm not cool anymore. I don't have my
You're
finger.
not cool, dude. I'm pushing 50.
Yeah, and you're less cool than I am. You know that. You know damn well you've had those moments where they come home and they start talking about stuff and you're like, I'm pretty sure that's not what that word means. Is that even English? It happens
Yeah,
to
something
everybody.
like, man, school lunch. Dad, school lunch today was bussin'.
Yeah. And you're just sitting there and
And
you're
I'm
like,
like, what?
okay, I know what that meant. In our day, you mean that they made sure some black kids are able to go to the school? That's good. That's nice. I like that. I'm for that. Segregation bad. But I'm pretty sure that's not what they meant. Pretty sure that's
No.
not what that means to them. But I mean, that happens to all of us, right? We all get to a certain age and you just you start to age out. And Vince McMahon, when he was stepped down, forced out, whatever you want to say, was 70 odd years old. A 70 odd year old man is not going to have his finger on the pulse of what's cool now. And there were certainly multiple instances of him, making references to talent and equating them to people that, even you and I, Al, would be like, I don't get it. I don't understand the reference. We all get to that point where if you're in a creative business, if you're in a creative endeavor like that, you have to understand it's time to step aside, and it's time to let the new generation, for better or for worse, step up and do it. Thankfully, they had Triple H there that was groomed, that came in with a million ideas, that has been steeped in the history of the business, the war of the business, and was able to sell that vision to the new ownership, and it's guns blazing, full steam ahead.
All good stuff, man. Okay, so upcoming for me and the professor this Sunday on Around the Turnbuckle, we have Demetrius Arion live on this channel at 6 p.m. You don't want to miss that one, guys. And also on the 15th, we will be in Seven Valleys for SWO. Cool for the summer. I will be ring announcing that event. The professor will be doing the play-by-play.
Mm-hmm.
And then on June the 22nd, we will be back at Quakertown for 3WA Live in the Q Mart on Saturday the 22nd. So get your tickets for both events at those respective Facebook pages, SWO and 3WA, or where it's at in Pennsylvania. Demetrius Arion this Sunday, 6 p.m. live on Around the Turnbuckle. I got time for one more comment, Professor, before we get out of here. Oh, question for us both.
Oh, nice.
What crossover would you love to see, WWE or AEW?
Well, I don't really watch AEW. There are certainly talents in AEW, though, that I feel like I would like to see what they could do in WWE. I mean, I think adding Britt Baker to the women's division could be very interesting. I'd love to see Adam Cole or Roddy Strong come back, because I think it's
MJF.
And obviously, MJF. I would love to see him and Cody be able to finally have the program that they could have had in AEW.
I mean, they can go with Cody, they can go with Punk.
Yeah, with Punk.
He's got unfinished business with both.
So many programs for him in WWE. And I mean, as far as AEW, like I said, I don't watch it, and we all know what my feelings are on that. I don't think Tony's a good booker. I don't think Tony is doing well creatively with his talents. And for me, the whole, like, just having a banger and having an amazing match, it only goes so far for me. I want an issue behind it. I want a story behind it. Because to me, just about anybody can go out there and do cool moves. But if all you're based on is cool moves, and I used to say this about early ROH, not just AEW, just so you guys understand that's not just me, having some kind of mad on against AEW. I just generally don't go for the style of some indies going back to, Ring of Honor early on, where it's just everybody goes out there and does everything they can think of and tries to have a main event match from the opener to the main event, because to me, by that point, I get exhausted and everything runs together. And if everybody has a 5-star match, nobody has a 5-star match.
Correct. So my answer to this question, buddy, is I echo the professor. I do want to see MJF in WWE, if it's just a one-off, but I would like to see where he got a contract and worked with Cody, worked with Punk. I would definitely want to see Ricky Starks in WWE too. Ricky Starks would be, I think, a good one in WWE. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that there isn't some WWE guys that I wouldn't want to see thrive in AEW because they're not being used in WWE, i.e. Ricochet. I think Ricochet would fit in what AEW does.
Ricochet would probably be more of their speed. It's just, it comes down to, if you're asking me, could somebody fit in AEW? There's a ton of people that I think could fit in AEW.
Oh, sure.
If you're asking me, though, would they be better off in AEW than they are in WWE?
He's the first name that pops in my head.
Like with Swerve Strickland, I really have not seen evidence of people going to AEW and being better off than they were in WWE.
Right.
Swerve is about the only guy that I can really say they have done that with. An apples to apples comparison. Swerve is doing much better in AEW right now than he was in WWE.
Well, guys, that'll wrap it up for this week's Wrestling Hot Topics on Around the Turnbuckle. The Professor and I will be back next Tuesday with some more updates and some more hot topics. If you guys have ideas for questions or show topics, send them our way via the Facebook group. If you're not part of the Around the Turnbuckle Facebook group, go ahead and join it right now. It's absolutely free. Just join it, and you can post some things that you've seen, updates. Piranha can post that viral video if he wants, so that our fans can see it. It is, I will admit, disturbing in a lot of ways, but I mean, it's meant. I think everyone should see it as an example of something that absolutely should never happen in this business.
And promoters should look at it too, so they never book those guys again and blackball their
There
ass.
it is.
Not the unconscious. He did nothing wrong. He's fine. The other,
absolutely,
all the rest of them though, blackball. Fuck them out. Go. We don't need you.
There he is. So the Professor and I will be back here on Around the Turnbuckle this Sunday with Demetrius Arion at 6 o'clock. Until then, we'll see you soon.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah! If you smile!
Calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna